Welcome back to the SCIF. I'm Matt. That is Stu. This is the Green Beret Life, and this is the SCIF. We've got a busy show for you tonight. Stu, you want to go over what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, we've got a handful of stories. One, thanks everybody for putting up with us over the long weekend. It was Memorial Day.
I hope
a lot of people
had a good Memorial Day.
Yep, for a lot of people, it's an extra day off and a barbecue, and it's much more to others. But we appreciate everybody showing back up. Hope everyone had a safe extended weekend, and thank you for joining us back. But there's been some stuff happening over the past 2 weeks. It's almost good to kind of give everything a chance to breathe every now and then and see what's going on. There is a race in Maine to unseat Susan Collins, and the Democrats are really standing behind this Platner guy. We're going to talk about him a little bit. His name showed up in the news.
When you just brought him up, the guy is seen in interviews wearing sweatshirts with Ranger Battalion scroll on it, right? And I did some research into this guy because I'm like, there's no freaking way this guy, he lives in a house that his dad bought and paid for, right? This oyster farming business his mom gave him, and he runs it off of an island that's owned by a rich friend of his, and it doesn't make money, right? The whole thing.
That sounds just like a Democrat, doesn't it?
But yeah, he wears this shirt that has a Ranger scroll on it, and then I did some research, and he was in the Marines and then the National Guard. It mentions nothing about ever being in Ranger Battalion, right? Yet this guy has gone out there and made comments about dudes that have been injured overseas in combat. That's, I mean, one of the guys they're making a big deal about is my brain's drawing a blank. American Sniper, Chris Kyle, right?
Chris Kyle.
You can criticize that book. I remember when I first saw him being interviewed, I was like, I can't believe some dude is on here writing a book bragging about how many dudes he sniped while running Overwatch for advancing infantry units, right? That's all he was doing when he did this, like shooting fish in a barrel. You can't compare that to Carlos Hathcock, but who would write that book, right? But at the same time, I'm not going to go and shit all over this guy, and I was surprised by that book, to be honest, and the subsequent movie, which is not how. There's no way that movie is even close to being realistic, just like Lone Survivor. But
they like to go with the based on a true story. It's got the elements of truth in there that are all Hollywood up.
Yeah. So, but he's also gone after some infantry dudes that have been injured overseas, and this guy is a complete shittard. And I'm like, this guy was in Ranger Battalion. I haven't seen anything out there. If any of you guys know what his military background is, I know Marines and some National Guard work, right? And just his mentality, walking around with a Nazi tattoo on him, which it was the prison camp guard tattoo that he's now since covered up, right? Now he's in.
Oh, well, no, the best thing now is he didn't realize what it was.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that raises even another question. What places are you going to and hanging out at that's just up on the wall for you to be like, hey, that looks cool, I want that?
It was in Croatia. Where he apparently got this tattoo. But I don't want to dump into the story more. I just wanted to put out, does anybody know what his military background is other than Marines and the National Guard? I
haven't seen anything.
Because he walks around with that damn, or maybe a lot of the file photo the media keeps showing shows him he has a Ranger scroll on. So on a sweatshirt. So I didn't mean to get off that far, but what's the next story after that, Steve?
We've got Trump won a settlement in one of his lawsuits, and I don't remember which one it was. If it was the one against the IRS that he won for them leaking his tax returns. But at any rate, he was going to, as part of that settlement, he was going to put over $1.7 billion as part of a fund for people that were targeted.
Oh yeah.
Weaponized.
Correct.
That's been basically shelved.
Yes. Well, you know why? You know why this is all? Yeah. It's the rhinos striking back because Trump is destroying them across the country. This is the rhinos striking back, trying to make it sound like it was Trump's personal. They're going with the media narrative that it's like Trump's personal discretionary fund.
Well, it's going to be used to reward his supporters, is what they're saying.
Yeah. So complete bullshit. This is to get justice of these people who were kept in 4x6 cages without due process in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, for years.
Yes.
With no charges or with minimal to no charges, but and being kept in solitary confinement, which was illegal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll look at that. There's a big deal going on the California race with your buddy. What's his name? The one with all the ads.
Spencer. What the hell's his name? Oh my Lord!
I lost it.
Why did you just have to ask me that, dude?
I know. I had to ask you
because this guy Platner, and this guy get their names screwed up.
I know. I did too. I started to say Platner. I'm like, no, that's the other guy.
Yeah.
But he's a Republican, been running a really tight race in California, and he's really been taking the press to task, been taking his political rivals to task when it comes to questioning and turning things around on them whenever they come at him with their gotcha questions. So he's been doing really well, but there's a lot.
I was right. It's Spencer Pratt, and the other guy's
Platner.
Yes,
yeah, okay.
Yes, or Platner or whatever. Spencer Pratt and Platner. That's why I keep getting damn confused. But Spencer Pratt, good dude. This guy Platner, turd.
But it looks like there are a lot of concerns by Republicans, with good reason, of there being, of the fraud, integrity inherent in the system.
Yeah, it's the most corrupt state in the country, behind Illinois, New York, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. I mean, what do those states all have in common?
Yeah, well, the in the poll they have here, Democrats have twice by percentage twice the support of there being a secure and fair election than the Republicans do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 79% to 42%.
Yep.
And this is one.
Do any of us have any doubts that they're going to cheat their ass off?
Well, they're going to do everything they can. I mean, that was the one we talked about a few weeks ago with the names are, I've lost names today. When the governor of California had come out saying that, they had their break in case of emergency, system to put in place if it looks like a Republican was going to win.
Yes.
I mean, he literally announced that
Gavin
we
Newsom
have plans in place to prevent a Republican from becoming governor of California.
Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, that turd.
Yeah.
But, when the governor is coming out and making just broad proclamations like that, what are the Republicans supposed to think? The governor's coming out and saying, we have a break-in case of emergency in the event this happens. They've had no problems with their jungle primary as long as it was Democrats.
Did you ever shake hands? Did you ever shake hands with the governor?
No.
Okay. All right.
No. One of the stories you sent me was about Iran and the inflation in Iran hitting the highest levels in 80 years.
Yeah, there's some specifics I want to talk about on this because I know everybody is like, let's just get this done already. I have that same mentality, but we're going to talk about the reasons why we might not want to do that and what's going on there because it's falling apart from the inside.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to give my prediction on how this whole thing's going to end too, by the way.
Well, my thing is, unless the people take their country back, it's almost like they're going to be in a worse situation than they were before.
Well, do you want to start with this story?
Well, let me talk about the other two, and we'll start with this one.
Okay.
A few, I don't know, it was maybe a month or two ago, we brought up the website that the DHS had put up with their worst of the worst database of all the illegals.
Yep.
They've been steadily updating that, and it is at over 35,000 people now. And these aren't just the who they've captured. Let's see, there's been hundreds of thousands that have been arrested across all 50 states. This is just a small portion of them. And whenever we went through, we're reading some of the crimes that these people, a lot of these had been previously convicted of, both here and in their home countries. Not just, oh, we think they might have done something here, jaywalking or whatever. No, these were violent crimes, sex-related crimes, child abuse crimes. And these were the people that we were talking about that the Democrats are marching in the street to keep here. And they have a right to be here. And it just, I think people really need to keep that in perspective that these are the people that we want out. Well, we want anybody who's not here legally out, but these should be the priority.
Yeah.
And the last story I found is Seattle is building a tiny home village for the city's homeless drug users that are being displaced by the FIFA World Cup games. Yeah. And there's I really hope there's follow through reporting on this because it is going to be a catastrophe that is going to be magnificent.
Is there going to be a World Cup event in Seattle?
I guess so. FIFA World Cup games in Seattle, yeah.
Because they're spread out throughout the country.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Well,
but from what I was seeing, these units are 120 square foot shelters with shared bathrooms and kitchens. Who's going to be maintaining these bathrooms and kitchens? Because these, again, Matt, these are what they're calling.
I know who's going to maintain it.
Yeah,
it's going to be taxpayer paid for maid service is going to go in and be hanging out with a bunch of drug dealers. So she ain't going to be able to do that on her own. So they're going to probably have to have security for her to go in and clean the kitchens. And could you imagine that cleaning?
And the thing is, they're saying that these will be what they call low barrier, which means drug users will be allowed access. So they're not even screening.
No.
Anybody. I mean, I just can't imagine the just cesspool that this is going to be inside of
well, you can imagine. Just look at Seattle and what it's turned to.
Just look at Seattle writ large. Yeah. This is a microcosm right here.
Yeah.
But that was it. That's kind of over the headlines. But you wanted to talk about this Iran story first.
You know that area in Philadelphia where they're all on these drugs and they all look like zombies, where they're like and frozen. Yeah, that's what it looked like right there. What do those three cities have in common? Philadelphia, Seattle, and Portland.
Yeah. Liberal enclaves.
Yes.
It reminds me whenever we used to watch Walking Dead and they're like just stumbling around the city. It's like that's what it looks like.
Yeah, and not even joking. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. Yeah. So I don't know, dude. I mean, people keep voting for this crap too. Yeah, there's fraud and there's theft, but there's a huge contingent of people out there that are still voting for this crap.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit.
I mean, and at some point you can't help but have sympathy for the Republicans, caught on the other side of the line. Mm-hmm. But some of these cities are going to have to fail. And the problem is the federal government won't allow them to.
Yeah.
They'll continue to be bailed out.
Well, see, part of my question is they're fighting so hard for these illegals. Why don't you make it to whereas if you want to be a sanctuary state, you're a sanctuary state. It'd be California, New York, Oregon, Washington, D.C., Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey, Illinois, Minnesota. Okay. So, okay, you can have all the illegal, they cannot be counted in the census, right? They cannot be counted in the census, and there will be audits to make sure they're not in the census or they're not voting, right? And beyond that, you're not going to get any federal funds for welfare for them, right? But by all means, take them. And if they get caught in any other state that's not a sanctuary state, they are going to be deported ASAP. So you stuff them in these states, and then all of the companies in these liberal states are moving out of them. All of the companies are.
California had lost, was it 160 or something businesses have relocated their headquarters out of California?
So when you lose your financial base, which are businesses, right? And the people that work at those businesses, right? When you lose all of that, right? How are they going to pay for all of the welfare services that uneducated, unskilled, right? And that can't take care of themselves, illegal immigrants, where's that money all going to come from? It ain't going to come from anywhere. And they're going to collapse.
And it's funny because a lot of these Democrats, they're like, oh, well, we need labor. Well, yeah, but we need skilled labor. Mm-hmm. A Peruvian farmer is not going to step into a
welding shop or do electrical work.
Right. It's just they're completely different. Mm-hmm. If they were bringing immigrants in here, as they did in the past in limited numbers and allowing them to assimilate, by the first generation, second generation, they've acclimated, they've gone to school, they're supporting themselves, but they're not giving the system time to absorb and adjust. It's just being flooded. There is no assimilation. There is no, we want to be American. No, we want to come over here and then defraud you and steal from you. I mean, look at everything that's going on in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And they're coming out now. A lot of these news agencies are having to eat their hats with the crap that they said about Nick Shirley and everything they did with him. I mean, because there's just been millions upon millions upon millions of dollars that people have been indicted for now. And it's probably still a tip of the iceberg. And like you said,
he gave us the all-encompassing meme that lets everybody know what this whole illegal or this migrant scam that
the Leering Center.
Yes, the Leering Center, the quality Leering Center.
But they were calling him a racist and a Nazi and because he's like, it's fraud. And
what he really is a basic investigative journalist, and he just highlighted how corrupt the media actually is. So, I mean, some kid went over there and did the job that the media could have easily done years ago, yet they failed to, right? The media has turned into just a propagandist arm of the Marxist radical element in our country. That's what they are. So, which is the Democrat Party, unfortunately. This is what's turned into it. What are some of the comments?
Yeah, Freedom posted, he said there's a story on X today. The glass is already being broken out of the new Throne Labs smart portable restrooms in Seattle. Annual cost per year is over $116,000. What is that? I haven't seen that. I've got to look that up. Throne Labs.
Throne Labs? Is that
Throne.
Spell it, because I don't know what you're saying.
Throne, like the king sits on a throne.
Oh, like throne. Okay, so this must be the homeless centers you were talking about.
Oh. So this is, let me see here. This is what it is here. Portable restrooms for the pop of $116,000 a year.
Oh, I know exactly what these are. Yes, I know exactly. They're self-cleaning and all of that. Supposed to be. Right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah. This whole experiment, when you don't hold people accountable, when people get away with murder, that yeah.
And that's the thing, Matt. It used to be there was, public shaming and public ostracism of the people that were the ne'er-do-wells, the people that were causing the issues, the troublemakers. Mm-hmm. Now they're victims. It's not their fault that they're vandalizing things. It's not their fault that they're it's your fault they're doing that. You're to blame for their actions. There's nobody has any agency of their own. Correct. They're just being manipulated by the environment, and they have no. There's nothing they can do about it, and it's your fault.
Yeah.
And that's the way things have gotten.
I would blame you a little bit more, but that's beside the point.
Well, you probably wouldn't be wrong. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying you'd be wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, $120,000 porta shitter.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the ones that are just the construction porta john with the Smurf water in the bottom?
Yeah. Oh boy.
But all right, the Iran thing, you wanted to talk about that. Go ahead and get started. There's your story.
They're talking about Iran inflation hits the highest level in 80 years. We had an IRGC member assassinated the other night, one of the leaders. Nobody seems to know who did it, right? But you had the president step down a few days ago because he's got no power. And you can obviously see what's going on with these negotiations. It gets something it's agreed to and it's not agreed to. That means there's multiple factions within the Iranian government that are not either talking to one another or are at odds with one another. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're slowly starting to see this break down within. And now I think we just stopped another ship that tried to run the blockade with a missile to its engine room. Right? A Hellfire missile to its engine room. You now have where the United States escorted apparently dozens of ships out of it the other day. I know we've got a lot of people saying, finish it now. I don't believe you can finish this without putting boots on the ground. And I do not think, and understandably so, why Trump does not want to put boots on the ground.
Yeah, right? No.
So what he is doing is destroy at his own. Trump could solve this problem sooner, right? Which politically would probably be better. Okay. But Trump really doesn't do things for politics, and that's why we love him. Okay. He's trying to look out for the best interests of the country. And what it seems he is doing, and is being very, very effective, is slowly breaking this country down. Where I think it's going to wind up, okay? Now, we might hit them hard again, right? I'm sure we will. They're dumping oil right into the Gulf now because they've exceeded capacity.
But that's, that's a story you haven't seen anywhere, though.
No, you haven't, but they.
And it's amazing.
Yeah, because
when there's an oil tanker or something that crashes.
That would put the Iranians in a different light with the environmental crowd, right?
Yep.
And they can't have that, right? We got to be the bad guys with the left in this country, trying to solve this problem. What I think is happening, you're starting to see these attacks every once in a while that the United States, right now, as we speak, they're firing drones and shit at UAE, right? And we've stopped every single one of them. And the longer this goes on, their little fast boats can't do shit. They get blown out of the water as soon as they're deployed, right? Their drones can't do shit. We're knocking them out of the air. They're slowly depleting missile inventory. Can't do a damn thing. We're knocking them out too, right? And what's going to happen here is everything, the IRGC and all of this is going to be irrelevant as it slowly crumbles from within and infighting. And once here, let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where that's going to lead is we're just going to be escorting ships through the Strait of Hormuz with impunity, because there's no way for them to stop us, right? And when they try to, it just exposes what's left of their diminishing drone, fast boat, missile stockpiles, right? And eventually, as this thing collapses from within, we've proven how inconsequential they are. I think the people will rise up at that stage, because it's not going to be a unified element. And even though these people are unarmed and everything else, I think the power of these people rising up against these fractured units, I think, will eventually change Iran. But I think in the meantime, Trump's win is making anything that they can do with shutting down the Straits of Hormuz a non-starter, proving that the strait really isn't closed. And I think that's what's going to happen. And this strait, as this has gone on, it's already been proven it's nowhere near the importance that everybody assumed it was with the price of a barrel of oil. A lot of what you're seeing right now is speculation. So Venezuela's pumping massive amounts of oil. Here in the United States, we're pumping massive amounts of oil onto the open market. There's going to be a massive glut as soon as Trump solves this problem with, it might be not getting anything from the Iranian government. We've just made them inconsequential and are now escorting ships straight through. And that'll be the way it is. And what were you going to say, Stu?
I was just going to say, and one of the other things Iran is doing in their flailing and lashing about, when they're firing rockets into Saudi Arabia or UAE or other, Arab and Muslim countries, they're cutting off potential avenues of support that they might have been able to rely on in the past, even if it were, under the table. And, we're going to act like we don't know you, but they're painting themselves into a corner, and, they're cutting themselves off from their own potential allies.
Well, they're trying to get Oman right now to start charging tariffs to go through the Strait of Hormuz, right? I mean, why would Oman even consider that? They want to become the next Iran, So this isn't going to happen. And they're flailing, like you said. The Sunni nations in the Middle East will always hate Iran. Iran will always hate them. This is in the blood going back years and years and years. And
but you were talking about, and it's just something for a thought exercise. You're talking about the different factions within Iran that they're negotiating with and that sort of thing. Think if the situation were reversed and the United States were in the position Iran is in, and there's someone trying to negotiate with our government, with the Democrats and the Republicans and the deep state, and it would be as much of a mess, if not even more so. It's just whenever I wouldn't
say even there's no leadership at all in Iran anymore.
I'm just talking about the not necessarily leadership, but the backroom deals and somebody trying to get something over on somebody else.
Yeah,
that part of it. But yeah, you're right. The leadership has been
So now even the
taken
leadership
out.
of the IRGC is starting to get hammered, and now there's going to be different factions within the IRGC that aren't going to agree, and they're going to start infighting, and then it's just going to go downhill from there. It is on Trump right now is trying to play the safe route and not sending troops in, okay, and allowing this country to destroy itself from within.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's all going to happen before we're either going to be escorting ships, making Iran completely irrelevant in there, so it's no longer a choke point, and there's going to be a glut of oil on the market. I believe by the time the midterms come around, gas is going to be down around $2. If you have gas prices that are steadily dropping from here to the midterms, you're also going to see it in the cost of goods across the board because of transportation costs, right?
It does that. The with the U.S., as much as we rely on trucking, the price of fuel absolutely directly impacts the price of goods.
100%, a massive impact on the price of goods. So I believe all this is going to happen by the midterms. Unfortunately, we have some rhinos. We talked about South Carolina again. They voted against redistricting, and this is all trying to lose the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
Right? People don't believe me when I say this, but this is exactly.
Dude, I told you, I'm absolutely convinced Republicans as a party do not want to win. They do not want to be in power.
They want to win if it's a win for them and their daddy warbucks, whatever industry is paying them off, whatever establishment, big agriculture, big pharma, big you name it. Big.
Well, they want to win their local races, but they don't want to be the party in power.
No, it's not even that, Stu. It's they have to go out right now with Trump in power. If they had a Bush in power, believe me, they'd be doing everything they can to win the House and the Senate because they're all on the same page. But that you've got Trump in power and the big donor class, those big industries who want the illegals here in our country. We've already talked about this ad nauseum. They're rent seekers, right? And they're also buying goods. Walmart, okay? U.S. Chamber of Commerce, think. Walmart, right? Does Walmart want illegals in the United States? Of course they do. They're selling them. They're taking the food stamps from the federal government for their groceries. They're selling them goods and services, right? They're selling them. You say, what services does Walmart provide? Auto service and shit like that, right? So they're selling them all of this with your taxpayer money, right? And then a bunch of industries have the added bonus of cheap labor, like big agriculture. So they would much rather hire migrant workers that they don't pay a damn thing and pay them 1/3 less than they'd pay Americans, probably closer to half less than what they would pay Americans, right? So these people who own the rhino establishment within the House and the Senate want Trump gone, right? They can't go out there and say they're for illegal immigration and all of this, but their supporters are for it in the background.
Yeah.
So they're going to do passive aggressive shit, which is what they're doing. And they would rather lose in that scenario. In 2018, they knew they would open Donald Trump up to impeachment, which is exactly what happened. But we kept the Senate. So if they happen to lose the House and the Senate, right, these rhinos, we're going to talk another story that these rhinos are all about, right? These rhinos secretly want Trump to be open to impeachment. So that's right. They don't want to be in the leadership in that position because then they can't take any of the blame for it. It's the Democrats that impeached him.
Yeah.
Right? But they set the scenario up for the
Democrats. They can have the handful of Republicans that are in, out of like, Austin, Texas, or, whatever a liberal enclave is that'll vote for impeachment. Well, it was a bipartisan.
Yeah.
And there's like two Republicans.
These same Republicans that do this and screw our country because they're not America first, right? We'll still be able to go on Fox News and all of this and say all the right things about getting illegals out of the country. And we only want legal, bullshit. They did everything in their power to take out the guy who was doing what the American people wanted to. So,
yeah. All right. What's the other story you wanna hop over to?
well, we'll hop over to the story about the Johnson talking about there's not going to be any that what is the fund that Trump for the January 6th?
Yeah. So, and I didn't look, but Trump had won. I think it was the IRS lawsuit that he filed because members of the
some
IRS,
folk within the IRS leaked his financials to the world.
right,
Okay?
leaked his tax returns.
That shitbag should be rotting in jail for at least 20 years.
Well, part of the settlement with the DOJ was that there was going to be a $1.7 billion fund set up
to make right for the injustices doled upon the January 6ers.
Well, them in general, but I mean, just in general, people that were targeted by the government.
Yeah.
And basically, the Democrats have been pitching a fit and raising holy hell about this.
Not Democrats. The rhinos in the Senate came out because they are pissed that Trump supported Paxton over Cornyn and took Cornyn out, and that Trump then took a bunch of other rhinos out throughout, congressional and Senate primaries throughout the country. Trump is 100 per 100 for everybody he endorsed, right?
Yeah.
And the rhinos are having a fit. So they went after Trump and joined the chorus that the Democrats were saying, trying to make it look like this fund was for friends of Trump, right? Not for the people that have been damaged by the injustices and the unconstitutionality of the previous administration under Joe Biden, right?
Well, here's my thing, Matt. Why doesn't Trump just say, okay, they're refusing to allow this fund to be set up, so I'm going to take the money and give it to incorporate an entity that is going to be responsible for managing this. Take the DOJ out of it.
That might be what he does, and he might.
That's probably what he should have done to begin with, rather than trust the deep state.
There's value to this. There's value to this. Having them come out and shoot this down just highlights everybody in the Senate and in the House who's a turd, who is an absolute rhino turd. There's value to this, and Trump will use it against them and what primaries are remaining. Right? I think South Dakota has a primary now. What's that congressional rhino? What the hell is his name? Max Baucus, is that right? Is that from
South Dakota senator?
Yeah, he's a congressman. He's a congressman. Because Trump is targeting him right now.
Let's see. Dusty Johnson?
Which is the one? Is it Johnson? There's a rhino that Trump is targeting right now in the primaries in South Dakota.
I think it is. David Gessman? No, he's a Democrat.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let me look.
But yeah, and I hope Trump does. I hope he is able to use this, like you said, to target some more of these people that they don't have the best interest of the country at heart. They are, through and through political animals. That is all that they care about. And they don't need to be there.
No, it's not Max Baucus. He's a Democrat senator from. So, anyways, he's targeting somebody. The deal is they're kicking back against Trump because the rhinos know that they're losing power. And Stu and I have said on this show all along, the most dangerous politician for America first and for patriots and for the future of our country is the rhino, right? The rhino is the guy who says the things, but he's bought and paid for. He's a whore. That's what a rhino is, okay? And they are working behind our back. They were working behind Trump's back to make sure he didn't get his appointees, right?
Yeah.
They were working behind Trump's back to make sure that funding was still going to Ukraine, right? They were working behind Trump's back on pretty much everything that he's done to try to remove illegal aliens out of this country. The rhino is the most dangerous politician there is, but we have the power to get rid of him, and it's called a primary. And Trump has been massively effective with getting rid of these rhinos this primary season. He's been doing it 100 for 100 that he's endorsed.
And a lot of this falls on the constituency as well. I mean, it's the systems, just the way it's set up, it's so difficult to get rid of an incumbent. It's an uphill battle 100% the entire way, all the way.
Yeah.
But, people really have to hold their politicians to task, and it's funny how it's kind of the meme, that Congress has like a 4% approval rating or whatever. But I like mine. No, yours is part of the problem too.
He goes on TV and says the right things, and you think he's great, but in the meantime, this guy, Senator Cotton's one of those military guy, this and that and the other thing, but he is a rhino turd. He's a rhino turd, and you need to primary these bastards. You need to primary them, right? I mean,
but like I said, part of the uphill battle on that is the incumbency and the amount of money that they have behind them. And you have plenty of people, they completely disconnect except for when it comes time to vote, and it's like, oh, he's the Republican, he's the name that I've seen, I'm going to go vote for him, with no idea that there's another Republican out there that's been fighting the door-to-door fight, but just doesn't have the millions of dollars to throw up the race that this person does.
Yeah. So when you look at things destroying our country, we can all agree that welfare is destroying our country financially. It's destroying our country, right? And it's also a magnet to bring more of the people that we're trying to get out into this country because they're giving welfare, right? They're giving welfare, they're giving medical care, they're giving education, they're giving everything. They get education benefits that are way more advantageous for them, like free in-state tuition, right? Than the taxpayers paying for it, right? So, I mean, it's a complete scam. I mean, they're here to plus up the numbers so that they're included in the census. So the Democrats will win more seats in states like California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey at all, right?
Oh yeah, it's a calculated decision. It's not.
So when you look at these big businesses, okay, so if you look at say there's a grocery store lobby, right, which Walmart would be probably at the top of because Walmart's probably the largest grocery store chain, right? Then you probably have like Kroger's and Albertsons and all of these, right? But if you look at all of them, how much money do they stand to lose if 30 million people plus are thrown out of the country that currently get food stamps, WIC, and all this other bullshit so they can go and buy all the groceries they want? That's what they're looking at. Okay, you can add that to any industry that has an advantage for illegals being in this country with your taxpayer dollars in their hands.
Well, right? Even that, Matt, when you look at the sense of scale that Walmart operates on, how much do they stand to lose if their profit margin on strawberries is cut into by 5%?
Correct. Labor costs,
just because of the sense of scale.
Yeah. So yeah,
or 2%.
That's a great point, Stu. That you just add that on top of everything else, and now you see why these industries and have a lot of money and a lot of power, and now you see the puppeteers pulling the strings of these frickin' rhinos, because these rhinos are not doing the business of the American people that elected them and put them into power. They're doing the business of the people that keep them in power, right? The people that pay them, the people that are donating to their campaigns, that are offering jobs after they leave Congress, speaking deals, all this other bullshit, or jobs for very connected friends, right? This is how it's all done. So they're working for them, not for you. And this is why it is important, because you cannot be a rhino and be America first. You're going to be industry that pays you first. That's what you're going to be. and Trump is decimating them. He is decimating them. He is highlighting. This is why when you say, hey, maybe we should just deal with this. No, you let people see, because it's the only way people are going to understand what the rhino is in this instance, in the deep state and the establishment. This is what they are. This is what these globalists are. This is what they're all about. It's money for their benefactor crowd, right? That's what it's about, because that money trickles down to them. So
hey, Troy just made a point. He said in the UK, welfare has now exceeded their tax income.
Yeah. So how long do you think the UK is going to be able to handle survive? First of all, what's made in the UK anymore that's worth a shit? That really, what is their major export? They make some cars, but most of their car companies are owned by somebody else, primarily.
I was about to say, do they even? And I mean, I'm sure they may have something local, but what industry do they have that
the only industry that they have that I can think of, and it's because I have an interest in it, is the racing industry, Formula One, right? Most of those teams are based out of Great Britain, right?
Yeah,
and there's a lot of technology that comes out of those, right? But they don't export food products in immense amount. They don't export, finely built automobiles like the Germans do or the Italians do, right? They don't do any of that really anymore. Yes, they have a few fine, but they're all owned by somebody else. All of their auto manufacturing industry is primarily owned by somebody else, whether it be the Germans, whether it be the Chinese, right? It's all owned by somebody else. So what industry does Great Britain really have? They have, like I said, in the racing industry, but that's not a huge industry. That's a small industry, right? They make nothing anymore. They don't do anything. All they do is import third worlders that are going to put a strain on their crumbling economy. The state of Mississippi, which is supposed to be the poorest state in the United States, the average income in the state of Mississippi surpasses the average income of Great Britain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's no obvious. It's obvious to everybody, and it's no secret what's going on in Europe. They're destroying Europe one by one by one.
They're saying right here. I just looked because I was curious. They have financial and professional services
banking industry,
in
London. London is one of the banking capitals, but big.
Okay. Yeah. The largest employer of the country, major supermarket chains to e-commerce. I mean, healthcare and social care, that's the public sector, driven by their NHS. One of the largest single employers in the nation is their NHS system.
Yeah.
They're saying some technology and IT. But I mean, it's like there's
nothing.
There's nothing big here. I mean, it's all. Nothing. I mean, it's all like, yes, it's exports, but I guess for lack of a better term, it's a local export to Europe. Right there, it's like, hey, we're doing this in our own backyard. There's nothing that is like, well, we've got to get that from the UK.
Yeah, when you look at like Germany, Italy, France, even Spain, that they have exports. Whether there's food, wine exports. There's, Germany and Italy in particular, automobiles, even France, automobiles.
What is it they say about Britain? The beauty of their women and the taste of their food turned them into the greatest seafaring nation on the planet.
Oh boy, I don't know about that.
What?
Their food is not known for being worth a shit.
Exactly.
Is what they
the motherfuckers like, give me a boat. I gotta go.
But it's sad to see these European countries being destroyed.
But like Troy said, I mean, if the welfare has exceeded just welfare, like I'm not sure what exact stat he's pulling from, or
no. I've heard that here recently. He's 100% right.
But that's just welfare.
GDP. Their welfare, I think, has exceeded their GDP. It's something that's entirely ridiculous. It's unsustainable. It's collapsing the country, which was the design of the people who put all of this together, the deep state, the names.
Well, I mean,
we always
you and I have talked around this many times. I can't wrap my mind around. Okay, if I want to, if my goal is to collapse the UK, to what end?
Well, to the end, dude, you know what the end is. The end is 15-minute cities in a one world government.
I know, but I'm saying is like, what does that do for that person?
Here's what that does. For the elites that are in power, the rest of us are now their serfs. We'll never get to where they're at. We'll never be able to.
That's true.
Right? So we'll always be working for them. They will be they'll be beneficial masters to us, because what they'll do is they'll allow us to rent shit. We won't own any of our own shit. And if we want to break the rules, we want to break the rules and leave the 15-minute city to go to another one, we have to get permission first and then rent a vehicle in order to be able to do it. Because
it sounds like one of those dystopian movies with the megacorps where all you do is you work in the
but here's, just think of it. Think of like medieval times, right? In Great Britain, use Great Britain as an example, where they had the monarchy that ruled over. They had them broken down into little fiefdoms, right? That ruled over the people, and all of them ultimately reported back to the king. Right, but the people had no say in anything. They lived in impoverished lives and worked their whole lives for the what do they call him? A lord of the area, right?
Yeah,
right.
Whatever duke or lord or whatever was there,
royalty, and who paid a fealty to the king. Right after that, so it was sliced. Their money was sliced up. So that's the type of environment that they and the base of how they would do it. The model of how they would do it is China, right? So it's a form of communism, is what they're after, and they will always be the elites. They'll be eating meat. Okay, they'll unleash tricks upon us that bite us and give us an allergy or some immune disorder that won't allow us. This is what's going on with this Lone Star tick right now. And
I've seen there's some, I forget how many people there are with that now. Yeah.
It's called like something Gall's disease or something. But this is what these biolabs, why were there so many biolabs in Ukraine? We saw what comes out of biolabs in China in particular, where a lot of the engineering was done over here and finished over there, right? And paid for by us. But this is the end that they're looking at, Stu. It is to keep us under control and to make us good little workers for them. So we're not going to get through all our stories because it's 9:53 right now.
Yeah. No, it's the alpha gal syndrome is what you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah. Alpha gal syndrome.
But Troy added some more context here. He said there's 331 billion in income tax in the UK and 333 billion in welfare payouts. Yeah. That's not including everything else to run the country.
Well, you see, they don't have a military. Their military's gone. They had one working ship. They had the biggest navy in the world at one time. They had one working ship and it broke down. On some ceremonial voyage, or what is blown. Look how Europe has left themselves vulnerable. If the United States isn't there, they are 100%. Even them joining all together, they are 100% vulnerable to anybody who wants to take them, as far as like China or Russia or any.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If the United States had not backed Ukraine, Russia would have rolled through there inside of a month.
Yeah, inside of days, really. Yeah. Russia still could. They still could. All these people talking about how great the Ukrainians are and doing this. That war has been very drawn out and controlled, right? So, and it's the Europeans who keep pushing it. They keep pushing it. And what's funny is right now, the Ukrainians are keeping it going with. The Europeans are keeping this war going by funding the Ukrainians from the European Union. Well, where's that money coming from? Because they're not putting up self-defense money for their own countries, i.e., look at Great Britain in the mess that they're in. All of the European countries are like that. They are all like that. Germany says they're going to step up right now, but they are defenseless without the United States. So what do they do for us at the end of the day? What does the European Union or NATO do for the United States? Absolutely.
Well, anytime we ask for assistance with something, we're told to piss up the road.
They get in our way. But we fund, for all intents and purposes, 60% of it. We fund the NATO and the United Nations too. Time to pull the plug and form new alliances for countries that want to be our friend, right? I think Italy could still be our friend. I think a lot of the Eastern European countries would love to be our friend, right?
Yeah. But you really have to rethink some of your quote unquote alliances whenever you reach out to that ally and you get slapped in the face instead. How many times we're going to allow that to happen?
Street? We rebuilt Europe. We first of all, we went over there and fought for Europe, and we also fought in Japan, right? So we fought. Without the United States, they would definitely not have won, right? Just imagine the scenario in World War II. Had we not been involved, okay?
Yeah.
Had we not been involved, what would have happened to all of Europe? Would have been taken over by one of two entities, the Germans or the Russians, period. That's what would have happened. It would most likely been the Germans, because without the United States, the Russians were really fighting like hell against the Germans, but they wouldn't have been able to handle them worldwide, and the Japanese, and they wouldn't have been able to do any of that.
Yeah.
Right. So we did it. And then we paid through the Marshall Plan, we allowed Europe to tariff the shit out of our products in order to rebuild themselves, which they did. And then they kept the tariffs. And then we went to take
for decades and decades and decades. And anytime somebody said something, Trump, before Trump started talking about it, when was the last time anyone in Washington, D.C. talked about tariffs?
Yeah.
And how one-sided they were? I mean, anybody that may have breathed a word of it was immediately, shut up and run out of town.
100%, Stu. 100%. It's just one of these things that I think we have to reform. NATO needs to go. And then we have to find who our real partners are in Europe, right? And stick with them.
Well, I mean, so what is the timeline for UK to be majority Muslim? Is it 2050?
Oh, it's at this rate, it's going to go much faster than that. The most common name now in newborn is Muhammad in Great Britain. And on top of that, pretty much every mid-sized city, all the way up to their largest city of London, has a Muslim mayor. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? The population base, and then the dumbasses who have been brainwashed to vote for this. It's sad. It's sad. Nobody wants to see the destruction of the European culture and European way of life. Nobody wants to see this.
And the thing is, and it may not be that majority Muslim by 2050 or whatever, but the thing is that people don't realize is it doesn't have to be the majority if they vote and function as a bloc.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that power comes from. If they reach the 8, 10, 15% and they're functioning as a bloc, and they can swing
isn't the Netherlands
huge power around.
Who's what country in Europe is like 75% Muslim right now? Isn't it the Netherlands or?
I don't think it's I don't know.
So, type that in.
Let me see. The thing about trying to do this is you're not going to get. Well, it says Kosovo is the highest percentage
No, they're Western Europe.
Let's see. It says France with 10%. Sweden has 8 to 12. Netherlands has 6 to 7. Belgium 6 to 7. Everybody's 6 to 7, with Sweden and France having the highest.
Okay, there's a percent. Yeah.
France is the highest by number. It's almost 6 million.
I don't believe there's only 6 million. Their major cities are just full of migrants. That's what you see in London. You don't see British people in London anymore. You really don't. Maybe it was all new babies born, 75%. Maybe that's what it was. 75% of all new babies in the Netherlands are Muslim or some.
Well, and that's part of it. Whenever you're getting money per child, when you're on the taxpayers are giving you a house.
Paying for the people who are there.
You're paying for people to come in and outbreed you.
Yes.
You can't afford 4 or 5 children because you're paying all of these taxes that now more of your taxes are going to welfare than are coming in. But you've got people that the state is providing houses and health care and food and whatever else, and they're having 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 kids.
And then the police force. There was a big deal in Great Britain this past week where they're talking about this kid who had made some comments, and then the Sikh publicly stabbed him to death. And I'm not quite sure, but they didn't really go after the Sikh. And now that you're starting to see where the police force in these countries are used to protect the illegal immigrants who are committing,
what I had heard on this story,
native population.
What I had heard on this story, there was an altercation. This kid got stabbed. The police get there. The stabber is like, oh, he made racist remarks.
And they say, oh, okay.
The police handcuffed the kid on the ground bleeding out, and he dies because the person that stabbed him said he made racist remarks.
That's what's going on with this. Because I haven't seen any of the videos or anything. So
that's my understanding of the story as it stands right now.
We're going to handcuff this kid because he made some remarks, and that sounds about right.
As he's bleeding, he bleeds out and dies. But let's handcuff him.
Yeah, because he
said naughty words.
Right, but they have freedom of speech in England, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is insane. It's absolutely insane. It's the destruction of not just a country, of countries throughout Europe.
Yeah.
There's a never-ending flood, and it's so funny. We've talked about this before. These migrants show up from Africa, North Africa, in brand new Zodiacs, all wearing life preservers. Right? Who's paying for it? We all know who's paying for it. We know who's paying for it. And
that's the thing, Matt. We sit there and ask the question, and it's like it's so easy for these quote unquote investigative journalists. If they can't track that down, it's not that they can't; they don't want to.
George Soros wrote a paper in 2015 that went to. It was for the European Union and their future, and it was all about flooding the European Union with North African migrants, and it's pretty much come true. And yet the media wants to hide that when that letter becomes public. And all of these immigration centers in Europe that are paid for by George Soros. Where did that money come from? USAID? I don't know, right?
So, Freedom just said that there, and I guess the kid's name was Henry, but there were massive protests today in the UK because of this kid that was killed.
Well, there can be massive protests, but it doesn't seem like there's any movement on the government. The government needs to be, these people running Great Britain need to be taken out of power. And I'll tell you what, who's ever running the police force, the biggest joke of a police force in the world is Great Britain, because what they're doing is protecting the victimizers. They're protecting the victimizers over the victims, which are
Yep.
a native population in Great Britain.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's an absolute mess. We've gone 5 minutes over, haven't we, Stu, already?
Yeah, we have. You want to go ahead and round things up?
Well, we want to thank everybody for being here. I know we didn't get through all the stories we had.
No, we're good. We only missed one, and we kind of talked on it with the Platner guy. We did good.
Okay. So, but thank you guys for coming back. I hope everybody had a great Memorial Day, like Stu said at the beginning of the show. I want to thank you guys for being patriots first and foremost. And I also want to thank you for joining us and taking part in the conversation and bringing knowledge to this sometimes taped up and with duct tape and baling wire show, right?
Sometimes doing a lot of lifting there.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for that. We will see you guys here next Tuesday. I want you guys to live in freedom every day. Stu, what do you have to say to close out the show?
That's it. Again, thank you everyone for joining. We appreciate it. Definitely thank you guys for showing up every week. No, Matt and I are scraping it together some days, but you guys bail us out with the information you're able to throw our way. Absolutely makes the show better than what we would. But we appreciate it, and we will see you guys next week. You got anything else, Matt?
That's it. Live in freedom every day, guys.